Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a tanks replay, because I've been neglecting the tanks replays a bit in the last week and a bit. I did have some in the supporter video, but otherwise there's been a fair bit of World of Warships, so hopefully this somewhat makes up for it. I've picked this one out from Oberst 1990 because it is a somewhat uncommon sight. Somebody driving the T-34-2 with the 122mm gun. Now, if you are unaware, this isn't a gun that you typically see on this tank because it's not very good. It's not a gun that you actually need to grind to actually unlock the next tank in line either. So, given the fact that the stats are fairly poor compared to the 100mm that it can mount, and that you don't actually even need to touch this gun at all when you're playing it, I can only conclude that Oberst 1990 lost some kind of bet. Now there is the brother tank of this, the T-34-3, which also mounts a 122. In fact, it's the only gun it has because it's a premium tank. But when you compare the stats directly, which is something I got curious and actually did, well, the T-34-3 is just better, basically. Better DPM, better gun handling. It's still not great, but it is better. And of course the best thing is that it doesn't need to see tier 10s, because this is a tier 10 game. If you're wondering why he starts off firing so much heat, well, this is going to be it. Although obviously also a part of it is the fact that heat loses less pay over distance. As you can see though, the velocity of these shells is fairly terrible. So this isn't going to be an exciting match, especially. This is more somebody doing well in this tank, in this configuration, that you don't see very often. It's an assault game, and he's actually here with a light tank at the moment. He's already taken some damage from that 50 TP, and narrowly avoided taking even more damage from the OHO, who put an AP shell in his tracks, and it's quite a lucky thing for him that the OHO was firing AP shells, I suppose. But he's managed to get himself into this position, and now he can start to put this gun to work. Although, as I've said, it's not very good. Slow rate of fire, not particularly good accuracy, and the handling also leaves much to be desired. He's using the premium food consumable though, so that will help, and I'm assuming it's a good crew on this thing as well. So another hit like that, and he can finish off this OHO. Yes, it's heat all the way, but 175 base pen on a tier 8 medium is not superb, especially when you have got, I think it's of all of the regular tier 8 medium tanks, I think this has the worst DPM with this gun. That's a big reason why, if you're going to play this, you should use the 100mm gun. Now that was a very lucky shot indeed, because the 100mm gun just has rather better DPM. It's not a good machine, it's like 1500 something base DPM. And the rest of the attack's not too great either. I mean, it's not especially fast, the arm's not especially great. It's all round an awkward package, and it suffers from being at tier 8 most of all. Whereas the tier 7 that comes before it is actually reasonably capable for its tier. I think it's just one of these situations in the tech tree where the tank before it's quite good, and then the tank after it's not quite such an upgrade. So the T-34-1 is it's quite nice at tier 7. This thing, I mean, it doesn't really feel like it gets much over it except harsher matchmaking. So the T-49's buggered off to help down south. His teammates are actually pushing in the south as well. He's already racked up nearly 2,000 damage, and although, I mean, it was a bit of a risky move, him poking out at the very start like that, but it got one of the enemy T-54s killed. So he's already been the cause of a tier higher than him medium tank getting knocked out. He's accumulated some more spotting since then, and he's actually done a reasonable amount himself, because it's still a 122. For all its faults, damage isn't one of them. It's just all of the other parts that kind of suck. So there we go. There's the inverse of that shot he had on the FV 4005. Was missing that shot, which was reasonably well aimed, and it's not like it was particularly far away, but no, the gun just kind of derped. And because it's a 122, I'm pretty sure he would have been able to overmatch the 103B's armour there. Although, I know that's true for some of the Swedish cheese wedges, but actually I'm not sure if it's true for that one. I think so. I think you need 122mm or bigger guns to reliably overmatch their armour, but I can't remember. So his team's steadily moving up, but as I said, this is not a super exciting game. He's just hanging tight in the middle, basically, and looking for opportune shots. And any spotting he can do for his teammates at this stage will probably be quite useful as well. And it does look like the enemy team largely has concentrated back towards their own cap. It really is only that extremely low health Oho that was left over on the other side, who just got taken out by the standard B. So another hit into the FV. His AP shells have more than enough pen to hit that thing. And at this stage, his team's just overrunning them, basically. The FV is probably the scariest gun there, but they've managed to take him down to very low health, and there's a chance Oberst might get a shot, but he gets a bit distracted by the T-34, although they both mutually miss each other, so it's fine, and he even gets some more spotting out of it in the bargain. And he could have afforded to take the hit there. At this stage of the game, I mean, they've lost a fair few tanks themselves, but this does seem to be the final terminal push towards victory. It is just a very wounded T-10 and the pair of artillery left at this stage. So there's the T-10, maybe he can get a shot, but no, Conqueror gets in there before him with its... I'm trying to think of a word to describe how superior the gun handling on the Conqueror is compared to this gun on this tank, but I can't think of a word that's big enough. Anyway, for the finale, we get this. I don't know why the T-49 just drives past like that, but they do, and so it is in fact Oberst that's going to get the final kill, which is quite nice. Possibly the T-49 was still reloading. It has got a fairly long reload, but anyway, whatever the reason, he gets that last little bit of damage, and between his spotting and his assistance, it was not far off 7,000. And he actually hit most of his shots as well, including maybe one or two that it was probably a little unlikely that he would hit, but he managed it nonetheless. So with the combined damage and with the fact that he was bottom tier, easily top of the team and an ace tanker, but not really anything beyond that. He certainly helped his team win from being in that position, but it was not really a sexy, exciting game, was it? I mean, some games aren't like that, and I know that we on YouTube tend to gravitate towards those, but it's nice to see something a bit different every once in a while, also I feel like. And you don't get much more different than somebody managing to do well with a T-34-2 with the 122mm gun in a tier 10 game. It's not a usual sight. Anyway, so hopefully you have found this replay interesting, and if you have, you can do all of the usual things down below, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.